better than ever to farm some soy milk, drinking guppies into the ground like the greasy little piglets they are. By the way, stream, my show has new legendary mice merch out. Before the reaction vid starts, gotta show you this really quick. Actually looks pretty sick. A big damn clothing line. Maestro apparel. Let me see. And I got new t-shirt. One last light, one last hero, one last stand. Absolutely legendary. And the light's shining and getting larger on the last stand of victory. And the Maestro's brand symbol right here. And then it's got the American flag on the back. And I'll put the link in the description, of course. And I got all these cool t-shirts. Against all odds. Never give up. The Crusader armor. So go check that out at my merch store. And for any big titted vixens, of course, I have the Hot Girl Production clothing line. And this can, of course, fit your nippy so comfy and cozy if you're a hot girl with big jugs. So anyway, let's get to the video. I'm reacting to Charlie Kirk. And he's going to be farming, of course, this Tubbo Chubbo who looks like an ape, of course, into the ground. And, of course, they're talking about diversity in America, killing merit. Because as DEI hire happens, you're making it so it's not merit-based hiring anymore. It's only you're hiring based on the color of your skin instead of how good you are at the job. So let's see what they have to say.
And I've recently watched 3 videos of yours, Best Top 10 Charlie Kirk Debate Moments of 2024,
Oh, no.
Students Enraged that I Say College is a Scam, and 10 Unforgettable Charlie Kirk Debates that shook 2024. And I picked 3 different topics that I think are important to me, which comes down to immigration, affirmative action, and DEI, and college is a scam. But the one I want to talk about the most is affirmative action and DEI.
I went and got my master's degree, got it when I was 21. Of course, I'm still 21 right now. And got it when I was 21, and I got dumber. And so even though I resisted all the things that they weren't teaching me, like they weren't teaching you anything about how to do any actual thing in real life. They were trying to just indoctrinate you the entire time, and then so you could parrot their left-wing talking points. Disgusting. Of course, the Maestro didn't listen to a single thing they said, because I was the type of kid, if the entire class laughed, I would be completely silent. Fuck those kids.
And in these videos, you have said, quote for quote, white males have high test scores, white males shouldn't have to be penalized.
Yep.
You did acknowledge and say that people of color come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that do not prioritize education much.
Yep.
But instead of making a suggestion on how to help those communities and
he does
continue to build those communities up.
He does do that.
You continue to say that our institutions are becoming less excellent, and I'm confused as
It's
to
called fathers in the home.
Definition of excellence.
We all know you don't have
is that because white males aren't necessarily, in your opinion, getting accepted as in a higher rate, even though they technically are, because 41% of college admitted students are of the white race.
It should be
because there's 63% white in America. She is so dumb.
for the man. Yeah.
Based on what? Where are you
Oh
getting?
my God, she's so dumb.
I just want to understand.
She's so dumb.
The Supreme Court did a whole case on this, and it ruled against affirmative action. And we saw the books of Harvard. So
I don't want to cut you off. May I know for future reference, so I can understand where you're coming from and get more context, could I know the Supreme Court case?
Yeah. So the name 2.5 years.
She needs to shut up and start giving a blowy J.
Ago, I think it was something out of California. Someone look it up. You could use Grok or ChatGPT.
If somebody could please look that up for me. Thank you.
So we saw the data out of Harvard. Harvard was the test case, and effectively approximating, but a white
This guy is always in the background doing absolutely nothing.
male had to get about a 30% higher test score to even be considered.
And then they still won't even get in.
Black student.
And when was this?
Over 30 years. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So it was basically for a black student, they could do 30% worse on their standardized scores than an equivalent
And
white
you
student.
don't think that has any outside factors to do with it?
Well, that's not the point. The point is whether or not.
But how is that not the point?
Because I don't believe we should accommodate based on outside factors.
Yep.
You do.
Well, I do because I believe in progression, and I feel like you have stated in multiple of your videos, which I do have a quote.
Well, fair enough. I'm just making sure we understand we disagree.
I
don't think we should change the rules of the game
Yeah.
to accommodate.
What were the rules of the game?
Well, the rules of the game are that you should be treated fairly and equally. Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's an American principle.
But we're not. We're not. People of color get insane privileges over white people.
That completely.
Got it. So, therefore, a white male should not be treated differently than a black male.
But when you come from a different...
Doesn't matter.
But the
Equal treatment or not. It's not whether or not you were said mean things when you grew up or whether your dad was a gangbanger. Doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying that's
Get
not
fucked.
the outside factors I'm talking about.
It doesn't matter
Bitch.
what the outside factors are.
But can I explain where I'm coming
But understand, I'm going to finish and I'll let you talk.
Okay, of
Equal
course.
treatment is
She's getting so
regardless
mad.
of any sort of sob story you could put on before it. Equal treatment.
Yeah.
Test score, test score.
And I completely agree with that. But I also come
Except
from a
you don't.
predominantly white town, so I understand what you're trying to say. In my district, we have so much funding, and I live in the Florida Keys, so there's a lot of funding that comes to my school. And you can drive 30 miles north, and you end up in Homestead, where they have a fraction of the funding that we have, and they don't have as much.
30 miles is actually kind of far.
Testing.
You go over one neighborhood, it goes from fucking okay to complete ghetto. So 30 miles is so far.
And people to help them and have as much of the same outside resources, and then you can keep going another 30 miles and you end up in Miami where all the private schools are, and they get even more funding than where I come from, and not that obviously I ended up where I am today because I continue to push through, and I didn't let any outside factors affect me, but at the end of the day I kept going. And some
What do you mean you continue to push through? You're a DEI hire, kid.
have that same ability, and I also
It doesn't. Again, first of all, in Florida, every public school gets the same amount of money. Okay, there's an equal funding across the board.
But you also get donations from the people in your community.
Fair enough, but Florida has...
And I know for a fact that my community gets many donations.
Florida has the most... You could use equitable funding structure in any school and have universal school choice, basically. So that's number one. Number two, explain to me why, when we're admitting people for a job, should it just be what's on that piece of paper, or should race play into the factor?
So I know
Daquan always gets the interview over the maestro. It's unreal.
that your argument is mediocrity. I forgot. I don't know.
Mediocrity?
Meritocracy.
Yeah, and I know that, and I also believe in quotas as well, but I don't think that it should be one in one, but they should go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, if I have just as good as a resume as somebody next to me, I wanna understand where you're getting that jobs are just taking people because they're a woman, because they are black. I just want to.
They are.
And I understand.
And that's what she's arguing for.
Of course, with affirmative action and DEI, that does give them an upper hand. But where does it say that you take somebody just because of that color?
All over the place. Capitol Street Partners back in the summer of 2022 said that they will not hire white men for internships. That's one example of thousands.
But because of how many people are in there, how many people in position?
No, because they wanted to be. Again, that's irrelevant. It does not matter if you have an internship and everyone is a white man. If they're all qualified, that's great. It doesn't matter if they're all Asian or all black. It should be what merit qualification gets the people into that position.
And of course, but if this school only wanted white people to attend.
No. Good, excellent qualified people. And if they end up majority white, who cares? Why does that matter?
I don't think that matters. I'm saying that affirmative action. I'm saying that, but I'm not saying for the white male or the black race or the Asian race or the Indian race, or understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that it works in favor for
this girl is making me dumber.
Sex. It works, and it does 1,000%, and I don't understand where you're getting that information.
What is she going on about?
Racism that was in the fiber of our laws that is now getting away thanks to President Donald Trump, where if you were a white man, especially to apply for internships, jobs, going to college, that it was significantly harder to get those jobs, to get into those
way harder, impossible. Not even harder, impossible.
It's easier for people of other skin colors with lower standards to be able to get those positions. We agree there's only so many slots in a college, right? There's only so many positions in an internship. It's a limited supply.
I completely agree.
It is scarcity. So when you have a scarce resource, you have to decide how you're going to divvy up that scarce resource.
For sure.
In a DEI model, they're going to say, okay, we're not going to do any more than 30% white, and then we'll do 15%, and so you kind of come up with these quotas. Therefore, they end up saying, well, what happens if the 15% black is not qualified? They don't care, which ends up happening far too often. Or what happens if the
Can you give me examples of cases?
Air traffic control is actually a really good example.
Yeah.
We now have all the documents that show that we went on a hiring spree.
Those planes are crashing left and right.
Air traffic controllers. There's a huge lawsuit about this, 15, 16, 17, where the standards for air traffic control have dropped so dramatically, and you're kind of seeing some of the effects of that potentially. And again, it's in almost every single corporate practice, every single college institution. But it just kind of comes down to more of a moral argument that I have, which is that if you have something based on merit, I don't care if it's all black, all Asian, all white. It's an excellent group is what I want, not a diverse group. I care about excellence.
Diversity is not a strength, bitch.
Do not believe diversity is a strength. I believe unity is a strength. I believe the pursuit of higher purposes is a strength. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from.
Diversity is a weakness. We don't want people coming here who don't speak our language, who don't like our culture, and want to destroy America. Get the fuck out of our country and go make your fucking shit country great again. Except you never will, because you're trash. Because they're trash. Legendary. And hopefully Paziantes like that reaction video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And the Maestro never gives up.